Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to Energize Delaware Live. My name is Angie Bivens. I'm an energy advisor with a few of Energize Delaware's residential programs. It's been a while. So happy to see all of you out there, and thank you for tuning in on today. If this is your first time tuning in to Energize Delaware Live, welcome. Energize Delaware is a nonprofit organization with over 16 programs all around energy efficiency and delivering renewable energy services to who? Delawareans. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back, fam. So glad you came back to see us again. So, on today, I've got a great topic for you. As always, we do have a guest speaker. We're going to be residential electrification and the benefits of doing that to your own home. So, with that, I'm not going to take up any more time on today. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our special guest speaker on today. And this, everyone, is Dave Liss. Dave is the Director of Technology and Market Solutions with NEEP. Good afternoon, Dave.
Angie, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm good. What about you on today?
It's great to be with you. I gotta raise my my energy game to match your fantastic energy. So no, everything's good. Coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts.
Wow. Well, awesome. Thank you for gracing little old Delaware with your presence on today. I'm going to go ahead and get ready and bring up your presentation because I know you have a lot of great stuff to talk about, and our audience looks forward to hearing it on today.
Great. Well, thanks again for the invite, Angie, and having me. I'm going to talk about heating electrification. As Angie mentioned, I am with NEEP, or Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnerships. We are a regional efficiency organization working to drive regional collaboration to promote things like heating electrification. And I really enjoy it because we get to work with a lot of different stakeholders from a lot of different parts of this great region, from sort of New England down through the Mid-Atlantic that we call the NEEP region. So this idea of electrification and where it comes from, we did a study a number of years ago that looked at climate change and the opportunities to reduce emissions in our economy. And when we looked across the various ways of decarbonization in across the economy, it was this direct use of fossil fuels in transportation and buildings that were really the challenges of getting to these really deep levels of carbon reductions. And so we conducted a study and looked at sort of what these kind of alternative electrification technologies would be to help us back out of some of these carbon emissions. And as you can imagine, on the transportation side, we're talking about electrification of vehicles, EVs. That would be an opportunity to put a big dent in a lot of the transportation emissions. And then on the residential and building side, you'll see that heat and water heating make up a lot of the emissions associated with buildings. So what are these technologies that rely on electricity that we could use to displace our direct use of fossil fuels in these applications? So we're talking about for space heating, we're really excited about air source heat pumps and both air source and ground source. You've probably heard of a little bit about both of them. I'll get into them a little bit more. And then on the water heating side, doing it with heat pump water heaters. And these are some of the technologies that I'll be talking about today. I should mention that a lot of the work that NEEP has been leading over the years has been on the air source heat pump side. So a lot of my spiel and content will really be focused on this air source heat pump side. But but as I mentioned, there are these, ground source and then water heating we'll talk a little bit about. But as far as air source heat pumps, this is a technology that it actually has been around a lot, and there's certainly some penetration already in Delaware. You may have this technology in your house today, but there's really been, in the last decade or so, even going back a little bit before that, a real revolution in this particular technology category. As I mentioned, we work up in the Northeast, in New England, in some really cold climate areas. So a couple of ways, on the technology side that they've incorporated to boost the performance, to really get better efficiencies and heat and capacity at low temperatures has really been kind of the big shift. And I mentioned the some of these variable speed compressors and advanced controls that have really allowed for some of these advancements. We've also seen a real kind of growth in the different varieties of air source heat pumps, whether it's sort of the mini split ducted systems or fully ducted systems, or really there's really been a proliferation of kind of everything in between. So we're also talking about multiple zones of these systems. You have single zone systems that might be attached to indoor mini splits, or wall units. This is more of like the ducted configuration. We've seen this kind of advanced technology in the more conventionally centrally ducted systems. So, think about the air conditioner that you might have attached to your furnace. Well, we could take these heat pump systems do heating and cooling. We could take them both out and apply this in a centrally ducted configuration. And then on the multi-zone side, we can attach up to 8 in some cases of these indoor units to one outdoor unit. So a real growth in configurations. I know we're mostly talking about residential today. I guess I could pick out a couple of these things that kind of cross over. You'll see that there's also growth in the configuration of a window unit. We think about those as being only for space cooling, but advancing or there have been advancements to move that into a window heat pump unit. Similarly, for package terminal heat pumps that might be seen in multifamily. So a couple of these other configurations that we're seeing, along with growth in a number of commercial applications. Just going back to the work that we do at NEEP, we have we're a regional organization, really bringing a lot of different kinds of stakeholders together. But we wrote a strategy about how we wanted to develop this market back in 2013, actually, and then updated it in 2017. So not necessarily, go into song and verse on these, but as you can imagine, some of these kind of common opportunities to bring to advance these kind of technologies really around educating consumers, educating the installer base on this technology, bringing some of the upfront costs down to make that more affordable for consumers, and on down. I just mentioned that because we're really looking at this market and sort of trying to understand all the different ways we can help to advance the market, and obviously bringing being part of these kinds of events and bringing more awareness to the region is certainly one of those big opportunities. Looking at the market, and this is not exactly completely inclusive of the Delaware market, but this is some sales data that we have from New York and New England. And you can see that we've really seen this market, some real momentum building in this market that we're really excited about. We're getting to points where, air source heat pumps are starting to compete with furnaces and air conditioners just in terms of the size of these markets. So I think we're really turning a corner here. In terms of some of these contributing factors to growth, I think there's, I think the market is demanding newer kinds of systems, more efficiency, lower carbon opportunities. And that certainly contributed. We have a bunch of delivered fuels in the Northeast. So customers are often paying very high heating bills in the winter for these kinds of fuels. So these air source heat pumps can offer a really, a very compelling economic opportunity as well. And then we're seeing sort of programs and policy also supporting the growth of this market. And then NEEP really sits in the middle and is really trying to coordinate these different opportunities. So we often get a lot of questions about just sort of like, well, is this technology actually performing in the field? And we've a number of states across the region have been running in-field performance studies, and really, for the most part, we're getting the efficiencies that the technology is promising. So that's obviously good to see. We want to see, if we're communicating the efficiency to consumers, we want to see that actually achieved in the field. And then I'd say even almost, as important or more important, the comfort issue. Studies in Massachusetts, pilots using air source heat pumps as the lone source of heat in the winter we're still able to achieve very, very high levels of satisfaction. So, these kind of concerns about the quality of heat and the amount of heat obviously are meeting expectations in places like New York and Massachusetts. Certainly can meet those expectations in a place like Delaware. You probably don't want to get too much into sort of some of these model program elements. I may have meant to maybe scratch this one. But I did want to, so one of the tools that NEEP hosts as part of our work, or, what has come out of this regional activity is a product list that we host and manage that is specifically tries to identify systems especially for cold climates. And when we first started this project, we had tens or maybe just a few hundred products back in 2015. Now we have over 30,000, approaching 40,000 from basically every major brand on the market. Now brings high performing variable speed systems with low temperature capacity and efficiency. So we've really seen a huge growth in the market here. And our product list that you can find at the URL above is an opportunity for consumers to sort of shop around a little bit, understand some of those systems that we characterize as some of those highest performing cold climate types of systems. Check out our buying guide. This is a guide that we developed a year or two ago. Really great resource to sort of kind of go through some of these concepts that I'm talking about around air source heat pumps, and really how to kind of help you navigate the market. What kind of questions would be good for you as a consumer to be thinking about when you're approaching this technology in market. And there are also a couple of O&M guides and case studies to take a look at as well. This is more sort of on the installer and design side, but this is, as you can imagine, sizing and selecting and installing heat pump systems is not exactly those things. Sort of best practices are really emerging around this technology, and is not always the way that installers and contractors have been doing it for decades. And so we're really trying to help drive better practices on the contractor side. And so that buying guide that I mentioned before is really meant to sort of prompt some of these questions that we really think are important for contractors to be aware of and participating in. So I think I prompted the conversation by saying that most of what I'd be talking about would be on the air source side. I do want to talk a little bit about water heating, because there's awesome, exciting technology on the water heating side as well. And similarly, leveraging this essentially the same kind of air source heat pump technology. The way the configuration, most common configuration is this integrated heat pump where essentially you're taking an electric resistant storage product and integrating a heat pump onto the heat pump, and by doing that, really allowing you to get 2 to 3 to even 4 times the efficiency of an electric resistance in these integrated heat pump water heaters. I'll note here that generally the market's been kind of slow to scale. It's something that for the most part it's an emergency replacement, and so people are often in a situation where their water heater goes out and they're just quick to replace like for like. This is what I have, just put in what I have, and because you want a hot shower as soon as possible. So it's really good to sort of get the word out and the planning out, so you can start thinking about this product and this technology for when you do. And I would say that if your water heater is over 10-ish years old, you may want to even think about proactively replacing with this kind of technology, because especially if you water heat with delivered fuels or electricity, it's a super saver. So wanted to touch on the water heating opportunities. So just a couple of, I guess I'm going to wrap up, and we can go to any kind of Q&A that people might want to have. But I wanted to just sort of, a few takeaways, from our perspective, and obviously from what you've seen from some of the market growth. Heat pumps are here now, and I did mention thermal efficiency. We really think that doing efficiency and weatherization in your home is really a great first step before applying heat pumps. But these are really exciting, scalable solutions. They're, as far as sort of satisfaction performance goes, we feel like once we sort of get over that hurdle of performance and comfort in really cold applications, like we see in Vermont and Maine and New Hampshire and New York and Canada, that we're really, we've really crossed that tipping point, that this technology is really ready for prime time across the country. And I know that I believe that there are some programs through Energize Delaware that can help you make this shift. And I should have the specifics on that, but
don't worry, I'll help you out with that in just a second.
Great. So I'll close on that. My email is here. I'm happy for anybody to reach out. My phone number is there as well. So I'm happy to take one or two, a couple follow-up questions here, but feel free to follow up directly anytime.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dave. There was so much information in there, and I did learn some stuff myself, not only about the products, but as well as about what NEEP provides. So before we close out, I just want to go over a few things quickly. So I just wanted to leave your information on the screen for a moment in case anyone needed to gather that. But again, I just wanted to touch on a few things. So to all of our viewers that are watching, this information has been amazing. And the goal here, which I know Dave mentioned early on, is that by doing these things, you can help to, save energy in your home by electrifying it and choosing these options here. So with that, I did just want to touch on specifically to Delaware. So a really good starting point, along with gathering the information that's been provided by NEEP, a really good starting point for this would be to get a home energy audit. So here is my plug for the Home Performance with Energy Star program. So this program is offered by Energize Delaware, specifically to homes that are in Delaware. So give me just 1 second, and I'm going to plug that information on the screen, just so if anyone is interested. But the Home Performance Program is a great way to start, just because it begins with the home energy audit. And some of you may have seen the presentation and heard what Dave was talking about, the great items and options that are available. And now you may be thinking, I don't know what if I need a new heat pump, or I'm not sure, exactly what size model I should get. Well, the home performance program is going to help you figure that out. And then along with that, we do give rebates and incentives for the upgrades that you make. So just as Dave was talking about it, to help bring down those costs on these higher efficiency items, you are able to get a rebate. So definitely check out the program. You can go right to our website and take a look, or give a call to the toll-free number on the screen, and we would be happy to assist you with joining this program. Now, just to reiterate what we heard from NEEP, I just want to touch on the fact, one thing that jumped out huge to me is anyone looking for information can go to your website. So if you could just quickly bring up again or talk about, I know you mentioned there's product list, there's buying guides, there's also information for contractors, which I didn't know about. So if you could just talk about that for a second again, so our audience can know.
Yeah, sure. You wouldn't be hard to find by just going to the NEEP website. So the neep.org website, will get you to all of those resources. You would find it under our heating electrification, under the mega menu. Heating electrification would take you there. The product list, it does live outside of the neep.org site. There is again a connection that will easily lend you there. But you're welcome to. I think the URL is in the slides. Oh gosh, is it ashp.neep.org?
That sounds right to me.
Yeah. Try. I think try. It's yeah. Try that. That will take you right to the product list. Yeah, a lot of good information. A lot of. But the audits are a great place to start. They'll get you connected with contractors who are really, they're really going to help you, sort of assess what you need and what the right product is for your application. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Dave. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for bringing this information. We are going to prepare to close out for this afternoon, but I just want to give you the floor one more time. If there is any last tidbit or any information that you'd like to provide to any homeowners who may be watching and thinking about doing some of these electrification measures.
Yeah, I would say, stay tuned. If this is, if this is really of interest to you and you want to learn more, the website is a really good resource. Utilize Energize Delaware as a resource, and our website is kind of constantly has new material, so it's a way to sort of monitor where the market is and some of the other best practices. And yeah, that would be my, I think there's plenty of things to pick up between the Energize Delaware and the NEEP websites as far as heat pumps go. And if there's a hole there, again, please reach out to me or to Angie.
Definitely, and I would be glad to put you right back in contact with Dave or the home performance program if needed. So lastly, I'm just going to thank everyone that tuned in, whether you're a live viewer or whether you're watching this after live. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to go to the NEEP website. Feel free to check out, if you're a Delawarean, energizedelaware.org, and you can see any number of programs we have available. So thank you again to our viewers. Please stay tuned to Energize Delaware on Facebook and on YouTube and see what else we've got coming up next. Again, thank you to Dave and thank you to NEEP. And we look forward to everyone saving as much energy as possible this winter. So have a great afternoon, everyone. And bye-bye.
Thanks all.